All right, it is 12:01 Central, 1:01 Eastern. We're going to go ahead and get this kicked off. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce today's webinar. My name is Julie Lawson. I am the Director of Partnerships and Business Development for the Loss Prevention Foundation. And today we have Own the Moment Before, turning visual verification into proactive protection. Today's webinar is sponsored by Vector Security. Before we get into the speakers and turning it over, I just need to go over a couple of webinar logistics. Today's session is being recorded, so if you need to step away for any minute, no worries. We will have this available on demand. You can just either visit the original registration link or contact us and we'll make sure that you can get access to that. Now, everyone was muted upon entry, so if you do have any questions, which we anticipate there will be some questions, feel free to pop those into the Q&A box that is separate from the chat, which many of you have found, so make sure that you pop those into the Q&A. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Bryan Knepper from Vector Security.
I appreciate you, Julie, and thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. We are definitely privileged to share some great topics and education on our visual verification webinar today. Our ability to bring some proactive solutions to the market and to minimize the risk and disruption to your business is going to be a real key focus for today's call. Would definitely like to welcome our team. You can see on screen Josh Studeny, Allan Watters, and Chris Zech. I'll introduce those folks right now. So Josh Studeny, he is our Vector Security Central Station leader. Josh's lifelong career in Central Station operations has made him a real key asset of this video verification program and bringing some good content to today's call. Josh is actively involved in the board for the Monitoring Association and absolutely a great resource to connect to. So if you're not connected with Josh on LinkedIn, please ask to do that and learn from his experiences there. Allan Watters, up next, brings a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise with his 30 years of operational and executive leadership in loss prevention. We are privileged to have Allan on our team now, both through product innovation and now leading our national sales team. Makes him a perfect choice to engage in today's webinar. So again, Allan will be live at upcoming events such as RELA and NRF. So a great gentleman to talk to, stop by, say hello, and engage with. Certainly on anything visual verification or any of the other things you may hear today. And then last up, Chris Zech. He's our Vector Security's product and innovation leader. Chris supports and drives all of our new solution offerings. So his vast background and technical experience and his technology awareness will contribute to today's discussions on how all this works. Myself, I'm Bryan Knepper. I oversee our national accounts program at Vector Security Networks, which is a part of our Vector Security Inc. Division and organization. So next slide has just a couple of great call outs of a background on Vector Security and who we are. I'll just share with the audience here. We're a top 5 integrator of physical security solutions, managed network services, predominantly for North American retailers and multi-site businesses. So many Fortune 500 companies partner with Vector Security for all of those types of needs. From a NOC network services to monitoring of intrusion and fire alarms, all sorts of innovative video solutions, device management, PCI compliance, access control. You really have the convenience of having one single point of contact for your networking or physical security needs. So we've got a lot of great stuff. You can see on screen there a tremendous amount of partnerships and folks that trust Vector Security Networks in providing their support with security and networks. And so we'll talk about why is today important. You all have obviously chosen to join us today to learn more about video verification. What a great proactive service. The technology continues to get significantly better every quarter that we talk about this. And um, the guidance today will really be about how do you maximize your current video solution? How do you ultimately be more proactive and position your programs for future technology and services? This team on the call, again, you heard a ton of experience, a ton of technical expertise. They're really going to help understand where the best practices are, how we introduce automation and analytics, our ROI models for these services, and ultimately how the end user experience can improve and be better. I see in the chat some echoing. Thanks, Eric, for calling that out. We'll see how we can change that up and mute a little bit differently to ensure you're not getting that echo. But feedback's great in the chat. Again, Julie called out if you want to sound where you're from and where your organization you're with, feel free to throw that in chat now. As again, very proud to bring this team and their content today on visual verification. Please participate as much as you would like. The engagement is super welcomed. This team is ready to have a great webinar, and we are so appreciative of your time today. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Allan Watters, and enjoy the webinar today, folks. We really appreciate you joining. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that kind introduction. If we could transition to the next slide. I'm going to highlight for the team really kind of why the moment before matters. And I think Brian articulated it really well. And to put it in a nutshell for everyone, it really is because our industry has advanced to a point where both the technology and processes are now capable of detecting and verifying incidents in real time. So essentially, it gives us the ability to mitigate false alarms, and more importantly, and we're going to talk a lot about false alarms, but probably more importantly, respond to the real incidents in a timely manner and a safe manner. So whether we're using video analytics or video verification, we can now intervene and support and resolve incidents in a quicker and better fashion than ever before. So that's why the moment before matters. Julie, if you could transition to the next slide. And we're going to talk about, as it pops up here on my screen, I don't know if everybody can see that. Do you guys actually see there we go, it's just popped up on my screen. So that I'm going to highlight here. And what first being, what are some of the retail challenges? And I don't think that many of these are staffing challenges that we all know are real and true. Oh, I'm lagging a little bit here. We'll do our best to keep powering through this. The repeated false alarms, reacting to incidents too late, and really the most important one, again, for the real incidents is safety and having our responders, their safety being a priority to everybody involved. What can we detect early? We can detect things like loitering after hours or in defined time periods, unauthorized presence of people or vehicles, and we compare intrusion incidents with an alarm system now with video and create that verification so we know what's happening as the responders arrive. And what do better outcomes look like? Well, they're very simple. A better outcome looks like early detection, clear context of what's happening, and quicker, prioritized response, eliminating those false alarms and creating a safer environment for our team members. Next slide, please, Julie. Go. All right, we're going to have some fun with the survey here. So I would ask, and I think I saw somewhere around 70 different people participating and attending. If you would all just jump on the survey, I'm going to read through the question and the responses, and hopefully we can get 70 respondents. So when your store manager experiences an alarm dispatch, what is the biggest challenge for your on-site responders or managers? A, responding to the alarms that turn out to be false, wasting time and pulling staff away from their daily operations or what are going to be their daily operations. B, limited or unclear information from the alarm event causing delayed or inconsistent response. C, safety concerns when responding without visibility to what's happening on site, as I shared on the previous slide. Or D, the cost and impact of false alarms, including fines and charges and the operational disruption. And then we gave you kind of the catch-all, which is the all the above in the very last question there. So certainly you may select that. I don't want to influence, and I personally know which one that I would be selecting. Bryan indicated that 30 years of practitioner experience, so I'm going to be careful not to vote. We'll just pause here for a few seconds and let everyone take a look at the options and then select them. And then we'll have a little bit of fun looking at the survey results. And maybe in text, Julie, if you can, just give me a nod that the lag is not happening any further. It wasn't happening on the pre-call. Better, better, better. Thank you very much. All right. Minnesota representing. Fantastic. Good to see you, Kenneth. All right, Julie, are you gonna pull up the results? Drum roll, please. There we go. I had a sneaking suspicion, so and we kind of did that with some intent here. I think when we
Uh-oh, looks like we might have lost Alan. Oh, there you are, Alan.
I am back again. My the call literally just shut down on me. So 53% of everyone just indicated that it's all the above, and we know that, right? So that's the purpose and the value behind the video intelligence. And knowing this, and I think it's a pretty equal split amongst the rest of them, which is maybe a good indicator that all of these challenges certainly are exactly that, or these answers are challenges. So why don't we transition to the next slide, and I'm going to go over some data here for the team and some experience that we've had in deploying solutions like this. It's a busy chart, so be patient with me as I walk through what I'd say is three sections of this. The top left section, what I'm going to highlight for the team is what the real life experience looks like from a central station standpoint. So where you see the non-video monitored part of the bar graph on the top left, that 7.99% is representing the number or the percent of times that we truly dispatch somebody when there's an incident. So, and this is in a non-video environment. So you can imagine that of all the incidents you might have trouble alarms or things that don't require a dispatch, the true number in the non-video monitored environment is that 8% of them we're going to send somebody to that store. When we get the opportunity in this particular use case, and we'll call this 1,000 locations with a high volume of alarm activity, we narrow that down to about 3% of the incidents are now getting dispatched for a 5% delta between the two. So we'll transition over to the bottom left on this account, and what it really comes down to is identifying what are the costs of those incidents where we don't need the respondent to truly go, and hence us verifying the incident and lowering that rate. We would have a unique use case for everybody, but just some of the highlights are that you're going to spend labor. There's going to be a false alarm fee, and we'll put $100 on that cost, and we all know that that's probably pretty moderate. We have business interruptions that happen as a result of this. It might be a store manager responding that now can't be there in the morning to set an ad. We got investigative resources looking at what happened, and you always have what I indicated as being a very, very important item, which is there's always a safety or a safety related aspect to the incidents. When you add that in totality and understand what you're spending to transition to a video monitor platform, and you guys can see on the top right what the cost in the equation becomes. And we just did the math again without getting into specifics with customer use cases, but highlighting the overall use case here. There's your cost in the first bar graph of $40,000 for the retailer. The return on investment, or the return that you're getting by mitigating all those costs in the bottom left, becomes the $86,000 and a delta of $45,000 per month when you compare the cost to the values that you're returning. Now, I will share with you that every use case is different. The most important part of this exercise is identifying your costs and identifying your use case and doing that math and that equation. We'll talk about next steps and what you logically would want to do with this offering after you've got these facts on the table. And with that, I apologize for some of the disruption in the video there, but with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Josh Studeny for the next section.
Thank you, Allan. And then from detection to decision, and then we're going to talk about how the context drives responses. And next slide, please. So how central stations prioritize what matters most. In the alarm industry, we understand about 95% or even higher are traditional systems generate false alarms, which we just took that pool question, and all of those compromise of traditional alarm systems challenges, right? However, when we couple in video, we're seeing significant decreases to false dispatch rates and also the false alarms being avoided and called out to the end user. So how do we do that? So the first way is that we utilize proactive services and proactive cameras with AI or analytics, and we're able to filter out those noises, filter out such as animals, environmental events, or HVACs turning off and on, shadows, etc. So those compromise most of the false alarms that we're seeing here today. However, again, when we apply the analytics or AI on top of these cameras, and again, it's getting better and better every quarter, we're seeing about a 93% decrease in the noise that we're getting. And also only about 2 to 5% dispatch rates, which again, we're avoiding those high, costly police dispatch fines. After that, we verify before escalating as well with our monitoring specialists. They're receiving the pre-alarm and post-alarm clips of what's actually happening on site, and also the live feed in conjunction. And then we're able to use the trained specialist to vet out even more so the false positives, because again, the analytics do raise some events that have to be filtered out accordingly. And then the monitoring specialists have behavior classifications. And this is an industry term. So we have behavior classifications such as criminal behavior, suspicious, non-suspicious, and no human activity. In regards to those classifications, we can act faster with confidence, meaning the monitoring center, we're able to view that video clip or that live video, understanding what's going on site, and with confidence either dispatching the police or contacting the correct customers. Also, for the end user, you're able to now understand what's going on site whenever a monitoring specialist calls, and have them detail, okay, what is that person doing, where are they at, and what are they wearing, so that way you can allow or let us know what's going on, and quicker decision making is happening. Also, again, with law enforcement, they're acting faster, and they're allocating better resources out whenever we have confirmed video threats. Next slide, please. And just to give you more information on how events are moving faster through the monitoring center all the way to dispatching the proper jurisdiction. First is called AVSO1, Alarm Validation Scoring. This is a standard the alarm industry has set forth in 2024, and Vector Security was one of the first to integrate this standard into practice with our UL accreditation of AVSO1, and it prioritizes higher threat alarms. So if we can see below, the levels go from 0 to 4. 0 meaning that there's no call for police because we either received a disarm on the keypad panel app, or we spoken with a key holder or a customer to let us know that, yes, everything's okay. However, Then we get to a level 4 where there's police response request with confirmed threat to life. With video, we're able to escalate these events very quickly to a 3 or 4 or 2. However, with traditional signals that we do not have video for, it's very rare that we can even escalate it to a level 2, but very even more seldomly that we can escalate it to a 3 or 4. And what this means is that you're going to get faster responses from police officers and also from the monitoring center. Monitoring centers in the industry prioritize video higher than a traditional intrusion system, intrusion alarms. And also, the law enforcement will have better allocation of resources and safety for them because when we call into these emergency communications, for an example, we'll say, "Hi, this is Vector Security with alarm level 3. There's a confirmed threat to property with video confirmation that there's a suspect on site that broke through the front door." Right then and there, that 911 dispatcher, they're going to receive that information, log it into their CAD system, and ask us for the address. And then quickly after that, you'll see we commonly hear on calls that they're already talking with the officers on patrol. Whereas in traditional alarm systems, it might take about 5 minutes per dispatch, and and then they prioritize it very low in their queue, and it takes a while for the police to respond. So as you can see over to the right bottom corner, there's 85% faster response times when coupling with video into this AVSO1 scoring metric, such as verified alarms average about 8 minutes or less that police respond to, and then unverified alarms take about 20 to 30 minutes. And in some cases, the police might not respond at all, because what happens in those jurisdictions is that they have a verified response protocol, which means that over about 200 agencies in the United States require what's called enhanced call verification or a two-call verification, meaning that we have to make at least 2 calls before notifying the police. However, with video, we could escalate that more quickly because we don't have to go through that policy. We can jump straight to the police department if there's criminal intent on site, saving about 3 to 5 minutes per dispatch just right there. And then also about 60 agencies in the United States require video, audio, or eyewitness to even respond out to that site. So, and it's growing across the United States, and more jurisdictions are adopting those policies. And so, to make sure that we're ahead of the curve, make sure that there is a video on site before an agency in your areas adopt these policies. Also, in conjunction with the AVSO1 standard, we also have ASAP, which is the Automated Secure Alarm Protocol. Vector Security was the first alarm monitoring center back in 2012 to adopt this integration and technology, which automates communication between monitoring centers and 911 centers. And how that works is that the alarm information is delivered electronically. Our monitoring center just can hit a button or just enter, and all that data goes right over to the CAD system for the emergency communication center quickly and accurately. All jurisdictions are different of what type of information that they need to receive. So we make sure that all fields are lined up appropriately for that emergency communication. Also, this will aid in faster dispatches, meaning that we're saving over 2 minutes for each call we have to make to the emergency communication center. And also it reduces human error because there's really no human intervention. No manual calls are made out to these emergency communication centers because, again, it's all just data transfer over to them. And so there's no mishearing of an address or accidental, logging something that's not accurate. So if we put all three together, video, alarm validation scoring, and the automated secure alarm protocol, you're going to get we're receiving a lot faster responses than ever before. And again, and just to give you a context, about 184 emergency communication centers out there today have what's called the ASAP automated secure alarm protocol technology that we're integrated with today. So,
Next slide. Yeah, Julie.
and how visual verification improves retail outcomes. So as we saw, there's a bunch of challenges that everybody's having, whether that's high false alarm fines, just calls out to managers at 2 a.m. and also escalations, right? And decisions that have to be made whenever you're receiving these calls from the monitoring centers. However, with video, loss prevention teams are able to gain earlier visibility into meaningful activity, meaning that they don't have they can have push notifications or even live see whenever any activation is going on their cameras through the analytics and AI. Also, central stations can prioritize higher risk events, such as, again, video is again prioritized higher than traditional signals to begin with, but also understanding that with AI and also the analytics, we're able to proactively make sure that we're prioritizing those events higher and communicating out to the correct policies that the end user has or even to the police departments. And what stores can experience fewer unnecessary disruptions. Like Allan mentioned before, when coupled with video, we're seeing about a 2 to 3% call rate and dispatch rate. It's very low because we're vetting out not only again with the first layer of the analytics or AI, but the second layer of trained monitoring specialists that are looking for that human activity. So again, there's fewer unnecessary disruptions to the sites. And decisions are made before loss or safety issues escalate because we're able to proactively, especially in outdoor secure environments, we're able to see a person approaching the store maybe with a baseball bat or a crowbar and quickly escalating that either, again, depending on the policy, either that straight to the police department or even to the contacts to let them know exactly what's happening on site. But also we can intervene with talk down, right? We can layer in talk down and try to de-escalate a situation before any harm or anything before that suspect even reaches into the site, right? So with all those said, I think, or I know that we feel very confident that video can help with all challenges in regards to knowing exactly what is happening on site and escalating that for quicker responses. And I'll take it away.
Yeah, next slide. And I think we're going to get, is this where we're going to jump into a little bit of a panel conversation? So yeah, we can just pull up the panel itself. And Josh, that was some incredible data. I'm not great at math, but if I was, as you're going through that data, I was going through the exercise. AVS 01 tied with the video technology, and what you really are getting is about a 300% faster response time for the customer. So, and then that doesn't even include the elimination of all the risk for the ones that you're not responding to. So that was incredible data. For the panel conversation, I'm going to queue you up first. And it may be somewhat redundant or asking you to echo what you've shared here already. This question really is about how alerts become those priority events. So Josh, when a video verification alert comes into your central station, what determines whether it becomes a priority response versus something that gets filtered out? Maybe just give a high level on that and share with the team.
Yeah, exactly. So Really, when it comes down to it, again, the first layer, that proactive approach, are those analytics or AI filtering, right? And after that, it comes to a video specialists. Video specialists are trained understanding the criminal behaviors, suspicious behavior, non-suspicious, and no human activity, right? So there's different threat levels that we will apply those behaviors to. And anything that's not human activity, vehicle activity, we can filter out, right?
Mm.
Say we see a balloon. We're not making any phone calls. We're not making disturbing a manager that's sleeping at night, right? And we're filtering that out for you guys. But also understanding that when we talk about non-suspicious activity versus suspicious, so that non-suspicious activity, we understand that if somebody walks in, like looks like they're unlocking the door, walks in straight to the keypad, right? We understand that that's potentially an employee, right? So I'm going to make those calls out to the site or the whatever the policy is, the contact
Mhm.
tree, and just detail out for them what we're seeing right then and there. But at any point, we're watching that live video while making those phone calls. At any point, we see anybody making a criminal act, then we can escalate that in live time. But also, and then also with that non-suspicious, we understand there's going to be vendors and so forth. But just getting our trained specialists, understanding the video clips that are presented to them in the live view that is also available. With different tools, we're able to make sure that everybody's safe and secure. So.
Yeah, and that's a great answer. Thank you, Josh. It really does also tie back to we know what we're getting into now as well. So we are sending somebody on a dispatch, and you know all the facts that they're walking into, which again, big asterisks against that safety element of the entire exercise. We invited, and we have as part of our panel here, Mr. Chris Zech. Hasn't contributed yet. He's about to. I spent a couple years on the product side, but I'm not nearly the subject matter expert that my friend Mr. Chris Zech is. So we're going to cue him up with a question here. And this one is about the video transmission and how it works. And Josh, you might want to chime in a little bit as well. But Chris, understanding that the cameras are the primary equipment needed to support video verification, can you share other requirements that are part of the infrastructure? So what considerations should our audience or should retailers take into consideration?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the part that gets me excited. So really, I like to break it down into three sections, right? And the first one's really the platform, right? So what is taking the video on site and actually getting it to the central station for them to be able to do the actions that Josh was describing. So the first thing we want to think about when we're talking about that platform is we really want to hone in on solutions that are simple, secure, and scalable, right? So we want to be able to do that across the entire organization or something very simple just in one particular area. In order to accomplish this, we really want the platform to have some type of cloud connectivity that really helps boost that scalability and that making it very secure and simple. So that could be something as simple as a cloud connected camera on site to be able to just do onesie twosies, or that could be something larger, right? Where you actually have a hosted server that's bridging multiple cameras on site and then pushing that video to our central station or to a central station. And that brings us into the middle piece, which is the transmission. So how do we actually get the data from that site to the central station? The first thing we need to take into consideration is bandwidth, and the network capacity of the client site. We can't do any of this if we don't have the capacity in order to move that video appropriately. So we need to make sure we're partnering back and forth on that to kind of check that box before we can move to the next step. But using those cloud connected technologies makes it very simple to be able to move that data back and forth between the site to the cloud server and the cloud server to the central station. That makes it a very seamless process. And then once we actually get it in the central station, it really comes down to all the different tools and integrations that we have available to us and Josh's team to be able to process that. So that's the monitoring station software, that's video software to process the video, and AI optimizations tools to make Josh's team more efficient. So, Josh, you might want to take a second now and maybe just explain a little bit about how those tools, benefit your team and what they experience.
Yeah, so the experience from a video specialist, whenever they receive one of those alerts, right? We first receive a pre-alarm clip, right? 20 seconds or about 20 seconds before an activation actually occurred, or through video verification, or even if it was proactive video, it's 20 seconds before that camera triggered an alert. So that gives us context of um, potentially a person getting out of a vehicle, what color of vehicle that was, or anything on in particular before that event actually occurred. And then they also are coupled with post alarm as well. What happened after 20 seconds after that alert exactly happened. But also some other tools that the operators will have is multi screens. We could pull up all of the cameras at once and viewing, and we typically segregate the cameras and position them. So if like you have like a particular area that has multiple cameras, we have just that one area that they could bring up all those and then shift over to another area and really watch those, watch to see what's observing on site, so we can continue to relay relevant information. But also the live view that the operators will have and manual playback is another great capability in case like we want to rewind anything or look at to anything further. We can zoom in, zoom out, and really hone in on what's going on site and give as much detail to the end user or to the law enforcement as possible. And staying on that line with um, the end user or law enforcement until everybody feels safe and secured, making sure that we're giving as much detail as possible. And those are the tools that really matter most. So.
I'm going to pick on both of you two again here. So, and maybe share a little bit about some of the things, the mistakes that we make in these rollouts. So, question again, both for Josh and Chris. What are some of the most common issues that limit effectiveness of a video verification program? Where do we see mistakes that are made, and how can we prevent those? I'll
Yeah,
let
so
maybe Chris. Oh, go ahead, Josh. Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
yeah, so first, what we see, we like to say it like in three parts, right? First, the setup and positioning of cameras, ensuring that the cameras are set up properly with the right infrastructure, the networks are stable, and just making sure that the camera feed is always able to come into our central station. And then also the camera setup, making sure the masking or the line crossing, the human detection, vehicle detection is, and also the audio for top down is making sure that those are all working pieces, right? Making sure that we're testing out before going live, and also with video verification, making sure that the cameras align with the zone. So, for example, if we get a front door alarm, which camera to look at first. Well, our video specialists don't even have to guess, right? We're mapping them out accordingly, making sure that the front area camera is first to view, right? So if you have 20, 30, 50 cameras, we're not missing activity that's happening on the correct camera. So we're always looking for that. But also the end user setup, right? Making sure the schedules are set up appropriately, especially when we're talking about the proactive strategies of the analytic cameras. Whether you have vendors coming on site, what times are those? Are they always at Tuesdays at 2 a.m. to 3 a.m.? And just understanding the schedules with not only vendors but also staff. So those are the three main components. And just always working in conjunction. We understand that these video services aren't also set it and forget it, right? Sometimes there's cleaning of lenses or repositioning of cameras, and those are all proactive strategies that we use.
Chris, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, Josh, very well put. I would definitely double down on really the position, the setup, and the end user program for sure. The biggest takeaway from everyone joining the webinar today, where we've seen the most complexity in the things that take place when these deployments happen. These are the pain points, and these are the ones that we want to really make sure that we iron out to have a successful program, right? First off, if we can't see it, we can't detect it. So really having placement of the cameras, having the right technology in those spots to get the outcomes that you're looking for is really important. Josh nailed it with the setup, right? We need to make sure that your goals are defined correctly with us so that we can get those analytics tuned appropriately so we can get those outcomes. And that end user program between us and the client is extremely important. Knowing when they're going to be coming in, when should things be disarmed, holiday schedules, everything that Josh described is really where things can get challenging. So to make sure that we partner together on that in order to have a very well-defined and partnership between both, we'll have a successful solution on the end.
That's fantastic, Chris. Thank you very much. Mr. Knepper, you did such a great job on the intro today, but I do have to share you're not off the hook yet. So I do have a question for you, and this is more from an executive perspective and why this shift matters. So, Bryan, from a leadership perspective, why is this shift from a reactive response to a proactive protection so important right now for retailers?
I appreciate that, Allan. Um, at the very basis, having the technology and the ability is pretty important at this point. We're in a position where we can really provide some great data, some great information that will elevate all of our safety, both from our local authorities to our team members responding to the site. It's really in our best interest to utilize all of this data and information to prevent or move our team members from harm's way. You heard the AVS-01, you heard the integration and automation that maybe I alluded to at the kickoff here of really how all these parts and pieces come together to both get the bad actors out of the premise or prevent them from even entering the premise, and then ultimately just keeping all of our team members and local authorities safer. It's like any old leadership adage: if you can measure it, you can manage it. If you see, you can do something about it. And we're really in a great position at this point to do things differently. It doesn't have to be done the way it's always been, and all of that will create just a better experience. And then maybe one final note: I think if you're not headed down this path, your opportunity to attract a talent, folks that are doing these. Boy, what a great differentiator if you don't have to respond in the middle of the night, where you can really focus on driving sales and being engaged in the store or the site. What a great recruiting tool that you might have some advantages there too that I think is easily overlooked, but tremendous intangible there to think about. So
That's great,
thanks,
Bryan.
Al.
Yeah, and I have a last question for the team, and it pairs really well with one additional slide that we can probably honestly skip over, and we'll go directly to Q&A. But this is coming from me as a former practitioner and retailer, and certainly, it showed in the numbers when we talked about the return on investment model. But probably the scariest part about launching into an initiative like this is, what are the costs going to be? Like, how am I going to roll this out across an entire enterprise? Is it scalable? And I'll start off by maybe answering some of those questions. Is you certainly don't need to, nor should you, try to fix all of your store's problems all at once. And I'll let the team lean into this a little bit, but best practice and what we've seen from a great experience is start off with 2 or 3 locations. Start off with 1 location. You know what the worst of the worst performers are. You know kind of where the alarm incidents are happening and where it needs to be mitigated. And then apply the cost model to, again, that factoring of what are some of my ancillary costs that are happening, and then weigh that ROI together. And I think it's going to put the team, it'll put you all, and it has put our customers in a position where they make an extremely informed and educated decision. And they can go back to their executive teams and their leadership teams and share that there is a return on investment model. And that has been the success story in our relationships with our customers, and one that I recommend. I realize I probably just answered all the questions, or at least I gave a lot of intel. But if there's anything, Bryan, Chris, or Josh, you wanted to add to that last point, please do.
I would just simply echo, Alan. It's a great point around working through the exercise to have all those best practices for implementation, but start slow. It can be your most problematic site or sites, or just a handful of locations. I think you'll very quickly, and we've seen it repeatedly, immediately, very quickly, you start to see how impactful that can be, and uh, and get the engagement and adoption um, without doing much effort there. It'll spread like wildfire. So great offering that you can bring to the user experience and to the operations side of the business. So
All right, thanks,
good.
thanks. And Julie, I think we can, if you want to go to the slides again, you can skip right over that one slide that I alluded to, and we can get to a Q&A session here. So, and we'll certainly take a moment at the end of the call to express our gratitude to all of you for joining the call today and your participation. I love the texts and the messages that are coming up on the side panel here. And very, very importantly, thank our partners over at the Loss Prevention Foundation for giving us this opportunity to present to you all today. So, Julie and team, it's always a wonderful, wonderful thing to be allowed to partner with you on these events. We do look forward to seeing you at RELA. Before we close it up, why don't we do that and open it up for Q&A from the participants today?
Yeah, just absolutely. Since we already have this slide up, I do have to say thank you so much to Vector for being such a strong supporter of the foundation. They are actually our platinum sponsor as well for LPF Swing, which is coming up here in June. So if you're going to be at NRF in Dallas, feel free to let me know. We may be able to find you a spot for golf. So always, if you are here the day before June 7th, just throwing that out there. So ping me and let me know. But with that said, let's hop over into Q&A. All right, we did have one question come in live. We did have some that were actually previously already in from our registration slides or registrations. So feel free to, if you have any other questions, pop those into the Q&A space. But I'm going to kick off with one just that we already had from registration. How do you know when video verification and video analytics are adding value versus just creating more things to look at? Can you speak to the level of confidence that retailers should have in things like people and vehicle detection? And also, how confident should someone be in the solution? And based on what we've heard today, Josh, I think I'm going to throw that over to you.
Yes, thank you, Jolie. Absolutely, it should be very confident, right? We are seeing about when coupled with again the analytics or AI, we're seeing about 93% of the noise being filtered out, meaning that that 7% is typically human detection, vehicle detection, anything going across a line crossing. But then also again, it goes through that's through second layer, which is the operators, and they're making those informed decisions. But we're not getting as much noise as before, or like a traditional system. We're able to confidently vet those out, make sure that the cameras are doing the work for us. But again, quarter after quarter, we're just seeing better analytics, better cameras, and making better informed decisions at the end of the day.
And Julie, if I can add to that, and again, just coming from the experience of the retail side, it's building out that ROI model too, right? So you know your pain points and identify those pain points, get some real data around that, and then as you go through the exercise, and we indicated that, listen, we're not. I don't think it's the right thing to go out there and do 500 stores of this at once. It'd be too noisy. To Bryan's point earlier as well. Once you get honed in on exactly what you want out of the application, exactly what the use case is, and how you're going to measure ROI, it really eliminates a lot of that noise. And you've got a presentation you can go back to your leaders with, and define the results really well, and move to next steps.
Well, and I really liked too how Bryan brought that all together with what a selling point for folks that you're trying to get onto your team to not have to take those night calls. I was like, I didn't even think about that, but back when I was in my retail days, of course, we had that call list, which nobody loved to be on call. So I thought that was actually a really great selling point. All right, next question. When this conversation starts to include networks, bandwidths, or integration, how involved does IT need to be? Because let's be honest, when I was back in my retail days, there's a lot of times that we'll do it if we don't have to involve IT. But how would you answer that? Maybe politically correct. And then I think based on what I heard, we've got Chris and Josh both that might be able to take that one.
Yeah, I'll take it. So IT needs a seat at the table for sure. Having their partnership on the solution early rather than later is definitely an important piece. More times than not, right? These solutions are going to ride on, their networks and use their communication paths in order to get that video out to the central station. So if there are any hurdles or any just roadblockers along the way, we want to identify that as soon as possible, because they're all things that can be solved for. So if we can identify them early, we can get over that and continue to get to the point where we actually have a workable solution. So the real quick answer is early and often, right? Let's get them involved so we can put them at ease from the conversation of, these things are going to work out fine. And there's just a couple of boxes we need to work through. And once those are checked off, then we can start working through the rest of the solution.
Anything that you want to add there, Josh?
No, I think Chris, summed it up correctly. Like we just have to have that, that collaboration early on. Go through those few check boxes and deploy the solution accordingly, right, within scope. So,
And
All
Julie,
right, so oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, it's Brian. I wouldn't mind adding to that some of the other advantages that we talked about that one that one integrator to work with. You have a completely separate path should you not have success down that normal IT route, and that is deploying your own network, which obviously Vector does and has done. That secondary network, that video only network is certainly a solution that's on the table. Should you not have a level of engagement to future proof what you're doing with your video technology. So something to think about as well. And again, the whole reason we think we bring both of these technologies or segments together really well. No. Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna throw a live one at you, Josh, here. Are you seeing jurisdictions accepting video verification and retailers are able to do away with alarm runner services?
yeah, so great question. Yeah, so like this for video verification and through video confirmation, we are able to go ahead and dispatch police without a runner service. Just gotta make sure to see if that runner service is still needed for UL requirements. But if not, those are superseding, so we are able to go away with runner services and notify the police departments upon even if they have like a verified response policy, right? We can, or a two-call verification or a runner service, we can bypass some of those policies and with the confirmation of video.
That's great. Getting people there faster, definitely mitigates some problems there.
Reducing
Okay, so last one, and I know we've had other questions come in live. We will pass those along to the team and they will get in touch with you as long as they haven't been anonymous. But that said, let's say budgets are tight, and I'm sure that's most every retailer out there. How do you realistically put video intelligence on a priority list? And maybe what are some arguments that you could have, for doing video verification to maybe help those retailers out? So I'm going to throw that to Alan and Brian. Alan, you're off mute, so I'm going to go with you first.
Yeah, it is just so, it's one of those things that's so difficult initially. If you don't get very scientific and analytical about it and understand the impact, it really becomes subjective in that the store manager or the responder is just having a bad experience. And it's something that in retail we've just dealt with for many years. So I realize I'm being a little bit redundant with this and what I shared before, but I am going to just triple down on it in that we know the associated cost to these things is taking the time and really spelling out exactly what the impact is. And I also know from my retail days, and I know everyone can appreciate this, but holy smokes, if you improve that experience, and I was an individual that woke up, I may as well set my alarm clock for 2 a.m. every day because I knew that my phone was going to ring and I was going to be responding to one of my locations. So It's two things. One, there's an emotional ROI there, and that's a difficult one to measure. But take the emotion out of it and let that be the byproduct, that those benefits, let that be the byproduct of what is a tangible ROI. And then don't try to solve the world's problems at once. As we shared, grab a couple locations and let's see how the exercise goes. And I think that you're going to have good data to present to the team.
I think that's a really great answer. Brian, anything you want to add to that?
Engage in a pilot. Just to echo what Alan said, we have clients that are very eager to get this going, and they don't really know where to start, or don't know how to present the right scalable information. And the answer is again back to, well, let's work on one site and get 30 days of great information, and then watch the dominoes fall. So I would definitely encourage start with a pilot, and low cost or no cost, but it can move the needle really quickly.
I think that's really great advice. You don't have to tackle the world's problems all at once. Start small and then you can kind of build from there. With that, any other closing thoughts that y'all have? Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and close out.
I think we can turn it over to you, Julian. Just again, I'm going to say how grateful we are for your support and for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Alan. Y'all are absolutely wonderful partners. And with that, thank you again to Vector Security for sponsoring today's webinar. If you are at RELA, they are at booth 922 in less than 2 weeks. I'll be there as well. So find me, find Alan, and the rest of the Vector team, as well as they will also be at NRF Protect. Their booth there is 1917, literally across the aisle from ours. So you got to come visit us both. That said, if you are interested, we do have our promo code LPF 2026. That's going to be good for LPF memberships, the LPF qualified, the LPF certified course, as well as our ORC courses. If you are a LPC, so LP certified, and you do have to recertify every year, that promo code does actually apply towards the lifetime membership, which means no more recertification fees. So definitely feel free to leverage that 20% off promo code. We also are giving away 5 course scholarships to folks that have attended today. You do have to have been present to win. They're non-transferable. Those will be put into email by the end of the day tomorrow. Please keep an eye out for those. You have 5 business days to accept that scholarship. Otherwise, we do roll that to someone else. And then last but absolutely certainly not least, we do have our webinar sign up notifications, or sign up for webinar notifications. It is a free guest account, so definitely sign up for that. We have webinars of all different types, whether it's leadership related, specific product related, new things, you name it. We have all different types of webinars. So I encourage you to join and learn. Really, we're all about just education over here at the foundation. So want to make sure that you have the opportunity to just increase your knowledge. We also have that QR code in the middle for the Loss Prevention magazine. So the magazine is a free publication as long as you're in the US. You can get that 4 times a year. If you're outside the US, you can always consume that digitally. So definitely feel free to scan one or both of those QR codes and stay connected. You can always find us on LinkedIn as well. But that said, Vector, thank you so much for sponsoring today's webinar. Chris, Brian, Josh, Alan, it was absolutely a pleasure to have you with us. Definitely appreciate it. And until next time.
Thanks.
Thank you all.